So I was in a work conversation a few days back and I met this person and he was in a bad mood, sad, angry. So I asked him, what's the problem? And he said that I've just lost a team member to COVID, young team member. So he was extremely sad. But what was surprising was that he was quite angry. So when I asked him, where is the anger coming from? He just exploded. He said, I can't understand why people don't wear a mask. Why can't they respect pandemic norms? There is no social distancing. He said, I've just come back from the market. People are sticking to one another. They are partying like anything. And the second wave is still not over. And he says, I just can't get it. We are trying to communicate. The government is doing everything to communicate that follow the norms, but people don't follow the norms. And he was venting and he vented and I let him vent. But then he was curious and he wanted to know from me that why can't people get it? Why can't they follow simple norms? But I could still hear that when he said that, why can't they follow simple norms? There was no question mark at the end of his question. There was an exclamation mark, which meant that he was still venting. He was just wanting to give judgment. So I let him. So I said, what do you think? And he repeats the same thing, duffers, idiots, irresponsible, just more vent, just his electrochemical stuff coming out of his sound energy, and I let it come. Because I think when people are dying, that's not the time to explain logic to them. So it went on, but I think once he had, sort of vented a little bit, he wanted to know why don't they get it? So once again, I rebounded the question back at him gently, and I said, why do you think? And this time he paused, his kind of micro muscles relaxed a little bit. And he said that maybe they don't like wearing a mask. I said, good. For the first time, you are thinking on what is going on in their system rather than what is going on in your system. So I said, what do you think are the reasons? He says, I don't know. I said, okay, let's play a game. You give me 5 reasons on what are the reasons behind their not wearing a mask, and I'll give you 5 reasons, then you give 5 reasons, I give 5 reasons, and by the end of it we will have a good idea of what is going on in their heads and hearts, a rational mind, relational mind, conscious mind, subconscious mind, unconscious mind. And once we know that, we may be able to figure out why is the communication not happening, why is the execution of communication not happening. So he said, okay. So I said, your turn, you go ahead. Tell me the 5 reasons why they're not wearing a mask. And he says, maybe they're not wearing a mask. It's uncomfortable. The elastic pulls them. It fogs out their glasses. They have to buy a mask. They have to wash a mask. They have to keep a mask. The mask gets crumpled. The mask is not matching. It spoils their hairstyle. I said, wow. He says, your turn. Okay, let me take on some psychological reasons that maybe they think that people who wear a mask are the ones who land up in the hospital. Please, disclaimer, I'm not saying that. I'm saying this could be going on in their minds, that people who wore the masks fell ill. People who did not wear the masks did not fall ill. It could be going on in their minds. I said it could be going on in their minds that their gods will protect them, goddesses will protect them, that they love travel too much, they love to party too much, and it spoils their partying. And whatever has to happen will happen, and karmic justice is there. There's a cosmos, there's a chaos. I said, these are my reasons, your turn. So the turn goes back to him. He says, maybe they're not wearing a mask because they can't smoke a cigarette, they can't spit after a pan. Maybe if they spit inside the mask, sometimes some saliva goes there, then they are inhaling that, and the reasons went on. And between the two of us, we had, I think, about 25-30 reasons. But for the first time, this work colleague of mine was not venting. He was reflecting on what is going on in the minds of the person with whom he wants to communicate or who he wants to influence. And that was a big relief. And the reason for making this video is that most of the times when I see people around us, I think India really needs to communicate better. Most of the times we as Indians, we are venting, we are expressing, we are just letting out, we are just releasing, we are opinionating, we are judgmental. Communication is actually dialoguing with the person, and for that you need to know what is going on in that person's mind. Right or wrong, doesn't matter. We need to know whether the person is rational or relational. Communication happens when there is an engagement that happens. When you opinionate, when you are judging, that is not communication. And that was one of the reasons, why I thought I'd make this video to explain the difference between venting and communicating.